Okay, so that totally didn't happen. But as you'll see, sometimes you get some problems that you feel that that's about the extent of the damage, which we're going to get into in this video. We are back in business. Well, we're getting back in business. As you can see, still have the bus. We're going to kind of do a little update on where things are. There's been a little bit of work done in the last year, but we're kind of in a predicament right now. We did get the air conditioning system out, which used to reside there. Now it resides over here, and I'll tell you what, that thing's heavy, man. That thing is heavy. It's got to be a good 300-400 pounds, which is good. We're shedding weight. Now, ultimately, I would have liked to have left that so that I could just have air conditioning in the buses we're driving down the road, but that compressor was shot. The other problem, she no start. I've been starting it pretty regularly, at least once a month. Came out here one time and it just turns over. Thought we had a fuel problem. There's a little diverter valve on the back side that's really convenient to get to. It's basically right back in there, and hopefully it's visible and I'll circle it. But we thought that was our problem. It wasn't. Put a new fuel filter in, which is easy to get to. There's the primary, there's the secondary. Wasn't that. Check the fuel pump. Wasn't that. We are getting fuel to, there's a diesel cooler right there. We're getting fuel to that, which then goes back to the fuel tank. So I don't think we have a fuel pump problem. I think we have like a short-circuited fuel injector, which is awesome, because basically to get to that you have to take the valve cover off, which is there, which means this pipe has to go and this pipe has to go. This one will be easy, this one not so much. But in order to facilitate taking that valve cover off, as you can see there's some loose stuff hanging out here, we had to do a slight modification to the bus. We had to make a slight modification to the floor. In other words, we put a big hole in it. That's because there is a 1/4 inch clearance between that valve cover and the frame of the bus. This engine was designed to be unbolted and slid out the rear. Well, I don't have a 4,000-pound forklift, so we have to go with plan B. In hindsight, I'm okay with this because it does make getting to the top side of the engine easier. And I don't have any personal experience, but I've heard diesel mechanics do not like to work on buses. So this is probably the biggest downside of converting a bus, because I don't know the first damn thing about diesel repair. I've worked on cars my whole life, but this is a whole new realm right here. So I'm trying to fix it myself. There's just not a lot of YouTube videos on bus engines. You want to learn how to fix an engine in a semi-truck, well, there's all kinds of information out there, and I'm sure most of it is relevant, but there's one big difference between a log truck or a freight carrier, and I'll show you what it is. So there's bank one. You've got some breakers. There's your batteries. Well, hold on, we ain't done yet. And here, there's bank two. So basically what I'm getting at is the sheer volume of wiring in a bus. But we ain't done. And there's bank three. Yeah, that is a whole ass ton of wiring. 90% of which I don't need. It's all for, you know, when this was a bus and you had passenger lights and little doodads and USB chargers and everything else. So yeah, granted, 90% of that I don't need. Try and figure out the 10% you do. We're gonna resume some work on the inside. It's very difficult when you know your bus just won't move. Kind of hard to put money into something that's a big paperweight, but I'm just gonna press forward. That's kind of how we got this far. As you saw in previous videos, we had to liberate this thing with very little notice and sneak it out of the state of California. It's too old. It's a 96. We're going to get back to the inside. Kind of want to start working towards the bedroom, but we'll see. We're just going to get going. The big priority right now is electrical. We got to get all my electrical sorted because I've already boxed myself into a corner in one area. So I got a little ahead of myself. We're going to fix that. And then I got to figure out what to do with that kitchen wall because those tiles are just not working. So I couldn't help myself. I did more research, and again, it kind of pointed to a problem with the fuel injectors, most likely a short ground. So in order to check to see if that was my problem, we have to pull the head. So here we're pulling off the air intake tube. Wasn't too bad. You know, there's just a couple rubber straps similar to a giant radiator hose. That's all it is. And then now we're going to tackle the turbo cooler intake. It's what goes through the radiator thing to feed the turbo. That one was a little more welded on. It took a little oomph to get it out. So we got that out. I did have a little more clearance. There's about 1 inch from the top of the valve cover to the frame. So that's why I said, yeah, we'll go ahead and pull this cover and check. So that's what we're working on now, is pulling off the valve cover. So accessing the valve cover bolts was very simple because we had the hole in the floor. We got those out. I did break one, and of course it was the one all the way in the back. But again, because I had the hole, it was pretty easy to get to, and it broke off above the headline, so we just got vice grips. So we are trying to get that out. Getting this valve cover off, like I say, the bolts were easy except for the one that broke. But man, was that thing stuck to the top of the head. It just didn't want to come off. As you'll see here in a second, I had to bring out Big Bertha. It's not the biggest one I have, but it's pretty close. But yeah, we had to get a little 16th century on that valve cover to get it off.
And his name is John C.
So we're going to have to circle back, because what we think now is we're not getting any power to our injectors off of these white wires over here. So until I can ascertain whether that's accurate or not, we're going to go on to something else for now. All right, so we are starting to clear this out. This is where the electrical's going to go. So I'm going to start with this. Then I got to figure out how I'm going to cap these. Yep. Completely gutted now. And there is our power supply. We just got that. Got to clean up some wiring. We did install the 110 breaker box. But we had another development, which was really good news. I think we know what's wrong with the bus. Well, we're hoping. We'll find out. I ordered the parts. But I opted to get a code reader for a heavy-duty vehicle. The port is right here on the Prevost, so I mean that's pretty handy. But we picked up this Zurich from Harbor Freight, Hobo Freight as I lovingly refer to it as, and it actually does talk to all the computers and stuff. I was a little worried, but it was throwing a code. We only have one active code. But what it is calling a code out on is a camshaft position sensor. And there's two sensors back on this thing. One of them is stupid easy to get to. The other one, it looks really bad, but it's not too bad. But if we're looking at the back of the engine, the crankshaft position sensor is right down there. And there's no way you're going to see it, but the crankshaft, the camshaft sensor is right in front of the air compressor there on the engine wall. I'll just have to kind of point. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a light on that, but at any rate, we're just going to replace them both because why not? And hopefully, fingers crossed, that is going to solve our no start problem. It's Wednesday, February 11th, and we are continuing working on the El Busso. Like I said, I'm not filming a lot of this because it's just tedious. I don't think it would be very entertaining. So this is what we are going for. We have the Opus generation system here. Each one of these is 4,600 kilowatts of juice. I really should have filmed this beforehand, but there's every kind of plug you can imagine on the back of 240, 120. All the outlets are on the other side. And you can link these together. You can put 8 of them. So you can roughly get 36,000 kilowatts of storage. I'm hoping we don't need to go that deep in it, but this was pretty affordable system, so we're going to give it a go, because this bus, we're not dry camping, we're not going out in the middle of the woods, you know, to sit out there for a week or two. Now, if the zombie apocalypse hits, well, we may have to rethink that, but for now, we just need enough juice to get us from point A to point B as we're going down the road to run the mini splits. And if we stay the night over in a Walmart parking lot or, something to that effect, that we can run the bus for the night. Now, most of my appliances are 12 volt in here. My refrigerator is 12 volt. All the fans, all the lighting, all of that is 12 volt. So we're actually going to have 2 systems in here. I originally bought some of those Life Pose or whatever those things are, those batteries there. I've got 4 of those, so we're still going to utilize those for the 12 volt side, and those can charge right off of the bus alternator as we're cruising down the road, or that Opus will charge it because there's a 12 volt and a 24 volt output on that as well. All right, I guess I should explain a little better. What we have here is the Guardian G6000 power supply. And like I say, she's rated for 4,600 kilowatts? Yeah, 4,600 of the thingies. And then each one of these is another 46 and change, but roughly 47. It's like 46.95. I'm not going to go too far into it. There's plenty of other videos, but how I'm using it in this application is I just got a 220 wire with a standard, well, I don't want to say standard. It's the 4-prong giant dryer plug. That comes off this power supply into this transfer switch. What also feeds this transfer switch is the shore power coming in. Both the shore power comes into this breaker panel, and there's 2 breakers in here, and I'll explain why in a second. But the shore power comes from the back of the bus where it's plugged in, comes into this breaker panel. I've got a 50 amp breaker here that goes and feeds the transfer switch. And the way the transfer switch is set up is that if there's no shore power, then run off the battery. It works pretty good. It's not an instant transfer switch. There's about a 5-second delay, which admittedly I not what I envisioned, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it is what it is. I got this Opus system, like I say, I got it on sale, so I'm not sure how their sales work, but this thing was, I'll put the price on the screen. It was 800 bucks off. I want to say it was like 2,800, and then each battery was roughly $1,000. Now I know the regular price, these are more closer to 15, and this thing's like 35. So even at that price, it was still cheaper than putting together a Victron, you know, complete solar system, battery transfer, you know. It just seemed simpler to me. The solar systems, and this does have the ability for solar charging. So I didn't want to have to go all in all at the same time, so this was how I went. I got the base, and then I ordered the batteries, and now I'm, you know, been slowly adding the infrastructure. So like I say, there's 2 breakers here. This top breaker feeds the charging plug that I inserted. This is a 220. You'll see the plug is a little different. It's wired for 220 because that can charge that unit in 84 minutes. Now, all the batteries, once I get them in, I don't have a time yet. It's going to be a lot longer, probably 4 times as long to charge everything. But the reason I did this is when that transfer switch is running on here, I don't need it to be trying to charge the battery. Although, you know, that would be awesome if it worked. It doesn't. There's no such thing as an infinite power source. So that's why I have this breaker panel here with the 50 amp, or not 50, it's a 50 amp breaker for the charging system. I ran everything with that with 6-gauge wire, true copper, not that cheesy Chinesium wiring. And then we've got all my house wires, which I'm still doing, and it still looks like hell, but we'll tidy that up once we get further down. And then for my 12 volt, I just got a little box on Amazon. That's the cover, because I'm fixing to add some more 12 volt. And I'm just using stranded wire. I forget the gauge. It looks like it's, I don't know, probably 14. But I'm just running LED stuff, so it shouldn't take much juice. So I do have one problem that I can't remember what I did a year ago. I have some wires that I put in, and I don't remember what they go to. I suspect what they go to, so we're just going to wire them up and then trace them, see how that pans out. That's right, she's working. That was a wild ride for a good 6 months. But yes, we got everything put back in. it did turn out to be the camshaft position sensor. But ironically enough, when I ordered the parts, they sent two different parts. One for the crankshaft, which, like I say, the crankshaft one was pretty easy. You can just see the bolt right above my finger. Camshaft, I tried to illustrate it, but it's actually right behind here. About that high too. It's basically right behind this pulley, but in front of, you can't even see it, the air pump. It's kind of dark, but you can get your hand around the air pump to reach the sensor, which is literally straight back from there. It's doable. It's not convenient. You need a long extension. So this is future Mike, editor in charge, coming to you from Finer Chin World headquarters. In watching that video, you'd have to be a contortionist to get to this thing if you still have the air conditioning compressor in your bus. So once again, I'm thankful I pulled that, because I don't know how you really get to it other than elevating the back of the bus in the air and coming at it from the underside. But it's doable. Anyhow, they sent the wrong parts, but it turns out the crankshaft sensor they sent me was actually for the camshaft, so we replaced that one, and that was our problem. I'm going to order a crankshaft sensor, the correct one, and just change that out too, since we're there. But like I say, we got everything put back. Had to paint those tubes, man. Those things were gross. And let's see what else we've got going on. We're still finishing up on our power. We're starting to run the drain lines for the bathroom, kitchen sink, and the dishwasher. Had to think of those three. Made some more room in there, cut out some more of the venting. This thing is still a hot mess, but I finally got our 50 amp RV cord in, so the transfer switch is working. The Opus, I have a 220 plug for it, so this thing will charge. If it's just the one unit, it'll get a full charge in 84 minutes. I've found with these two batteries added, that goes up to about I want to say 2 hours, and I ordered a third battery. So I'm going to run with a 3 battery system, just because it'll fit, basically, barely. May have to do some more mods. Still got to tuck everything up. Wiring's looking a little crazy, but I've marked everything so, you know, future me or some other poor bastard that buys this bus can figure out what wire goes where. But anyhow, that's where we're at. Like I say, we're going to continue finishing up the wiring. We just have a little bit more to do, and then some plumbing, and then we're going to get inside. We bought the wood and the metal because we're doing some pretty elaborate things in the back. In fact, I'll go show you. So, we had a layout change too. So now we're going stove, that's always been. Cabinet, then the washer and dryer under a cabinet. Wasn't optimal, but there wasn't going to be proper spacing on the other side of the bus to stack them. But back here, still no lights back here. We're going to use metal and just put a frame, box this back in with steel, putting two headers across the back to mount the mini split, and then just a couple legs to come down, and we'll just tie in to the existing metal here on both sides, and that should easily support that mini split that's going back there. I see the inspectors are in here. Is it passing, Zoe? It's nice to have lighting again. But like I said, I forgot how I did it. I forgot I put a switch over here for the kitchen lighting. So it took me a while to figure out why those lights weren't working. But anyhow, here in a bit, we're gonna get back on it. We're gonna have to come through and just totally clean out the inside of this. It's a very difficult work area as it sits. So we'll fix that.
Why you always lying?
So here at Bus Rework, we are going to continue our motto of safety third. We've decided we're going to go ahead and get the stove and refrigerator in, at least inside the bus. And we are unsure how these windows work. One thought is, you know, the farther you tip it up, it might come out of the top track. There are some screws up there. But what those screws do, I'm not really sure. So we've got some straps hanging from the ceiling to hopefully catch this thing, because I'll tell you, that window's probably 200 pounds.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of OSHA violations.
But we're gonna get you inside, put this one on time lapse, and we're gonna try out the new 360 over there. See how that does. We had to improvise for my tractor not having enough lift to reach the forks into this window, at least at a usable angle. The forks would reach, but the angle was problematic. We used a couple of 1x3 boards to extend the length. A lot could go wrong here, but we went ahead of it for reasons. I know what you're thinking, and yes, in theory it should work. On a normal build where things are mostly square, you don't have obstacles such as stainless steel support frames, window latches, bolsters on the floor, etc. All these things can prevent you from putting an item where you want it. The only sure way is to get the item in its spot and then check all aspects to see if it'll actually work. Don't you pay no mind to how janky that refrigerator is attached to the forks. All right, well, I think we're wrapping up for the day, but one huge advantage of not using the air conditioning system is when you start pulling out all the vents, you start getting all kinds of access for like drain lines and electric lines and everything else, because those holes was previously the vent. And then we ran the gas lines for the stove and the hot water heater. Same thing. We pulled out the copper lines that used to feed the air conditioning system, and now we ran gas lines in there, so that's been helpful. Anyhow, that's basically what we got done. You saw we've got the fridge loaded and the washer and the stove. Well, woohoo-wee! It's been a banger of a week. I feel like I've made really good progress. Like I say, we just got back onto this a week ago, and it's already starting to come together. We've had a few changes, but we got our stove converted over to propane. That was a real pain in the butt, let me tell you. It's simple, but the burners are easy. Trying to get to the oven, that was a total nightmare. We got our sink installed. Again, I had to pull every tool I damn near have if it could cut. But we got it in. We got the plumbing in. Have to get a new oh, what the hell's it called? Retaining ring. Yeah, this one broke. You know, old cheap cast pot metal type stuff. But we do got it plumbed. Gonna get the dishwasher finished up here soon, and then we're gonna start working this way, start putting some more walls up. Got all the electricals kind of roughed in. Looking forward to getting all these wires tucked away. Oh, the cool part, 12-volt refrigerator. I'll tell you what, this thing did not mess around. Probably within 30 minutes of connecting it, she got down to temperature already. So very pleased with that aspect of it. You know, this is uncharted territory for me. 12-volt refrigerator don't sound like it would do much, but it does. Oh yeah, that's frozen. You can't see it, but it is. So yeah, it's actual can see some progress, and unfortunately a lot of the stuff we were doing is all the stuff you don't see, wiring, plumbing, but that actually went in pretty fast. I was impressed. Like I say, we got all the plumbing done with this PEX tubing. That was probably an hour, just to get that. It went quick. So anyhow, I think we're gonna wrap this week's video up, but we're gonna continue on it. I'm just glad progress is happening. I was very ecstatic to get the bus running. That was, like I say, that was a huge hit to the motivational factor, knowing the bus didn't run. But now she runs.